Hello everyone, my name is Spirit. In today's video, I got the pleasure of interviewing Edwin. Edwin is the author and writer of the book called Lost Between Worlds. In this interview, you're going to get to know more about his book and learn more about Edwin as well. Make sure to leave a like to support these interviews, and comment below to let me know your thoughts about it. I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, my name is Spirit, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Edwin De Catro. He is the author and writer of Lost Between Worlds. Lost Between Worlds is a story about Grim Reapers trying to balance the world of the living and the world of the dead. You can purchase the book right now on itch.io for $5. Today we're going to be discussing more about Lost Between Worlds, and we're also going to get to know more about Edwin and his journey on becoming a comic book writer. So Edwin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, man. Enjoying the day off before I have to pull a double tomorrow, but that's life. Gotta work.
When you gotta put a double, you definitely gotta take some L's.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into comic book writing?
Honestly, I've always just wanted to write ever since a kid. I've always had that dream. I've always also loved comic books, superheroes, all that stuff. But the two worlds never kind of merged for me until recently. It was only recently that I was like thinking, maybe instead of writing a full-on novel, let's go with the visual novel. And I just jumped into the comic book world.
I personally want to thank you for giving me an early copy of Lost Between Worlds. When I looked at your book, the art style reminded me of Spawn. The character Gwyn reminded me also of the show. I don't know if you remember, there's a show called Eon Flux.
Yeah, I remember watching that. You say that, I totally wasn't thinking of that when creating her and writing and all that, but as you say that, I'm like, yeah, I can see that a lot.
And also, the world and atmosphere in Lost Between Worlds kind of has that whole Devil May Cry vibe going for it. So I want to ask you, do you feel like my comparisons are accurate? And how would you describe Lost Between Worlds in a nutshell?
I would say, yeah, you got the overall kind of vibe. The way I picture Gwen, didn't really think of this, but yeah, pretty good comparison. She loves music, she loves rock and roll, she has that attitude to her. She knows that she needs to get business done, and she likes to be the most direct way about it. And she doesn't like to, mess around. She's a no-nonsense kind of girl. So in that aspect, I do kind of liken her a lot to Dante from Devil May Cry, minus maybe all the quips. But yeah, in a nutshell, I would describe it as Fight Club Split meets Death Note Bleach. I would say that's like the best comparison I would give.
Oh wow, Fight Club. That is one movie I need to watch. Like people say that's like the best movie ever.
I've always just been really interested in the psychology aspects of characters and stories, even more so when it involves bipolar or schizophrenic characters and things like that. So I always knew I wanted to write something about that, but then it kind of hit me one day as I was watching Death Note. This is where like the inspiration fully hit me. There's this one part, very, very slight spoilers for anyone who's never seen it. Light, the main character, he's asking Ryu, the Shinigami, aka God of Death, about their purpose in life. Like, why do you have this book that kills people? Why do you guys live so long? What do you guys do? And his answer is literally, I don't remember. We've lived so long that we don't even remember what we do. We just kill people because we're too scared to die. We just want to continue living. That always made me think like, well, what was their backstory? What did they used to do? They had to have just been like, your average Grim Reapers, right? Like that must have been their purpose. That's why they have this book that kills people. So I don't know, that train of thought just kept expanding on its own, and I threw in the psychology stuff in there, and yeah, that's how we got the story.
That's awesome. Now I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the main character, Gwyn Apnut. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, you got it.
She's the heroine of Lost Between Worlds, the Grim Reaper. Now, can you explain to me behind the scenes of making this character? Like, what does Gwyn stand for?
For the name, most of my characters are based on actual gods from different religions, most of them being gods of death, but there's other gods thrown here and there. They're going to be in future issues. But she's from the Welsh/Celtic mythology. The god's name is literally Gwyn ap Nudd, but the way it's spelled is there's an E at the end and it's actually a man. I flipped it to a female just because I felt the name was feminine. I felt that because I'm Hispanic, when you speak of death in Spanish, you use female pronouns. So I just felt like it should be a female character. And I just chose that specific god because I didn't want to use one of the ones that everyone knows. Like, not to say they're not going to be featured in the book, but I wanted my main character to be one of the lesser known ones. Like, let's give some of the underrated ones some time to shine and, just build from there. So that's where the name comes from. The actual character, I guess pieces of that come from that too, but the main inspiration was personality and vibe. I wanted to go Uma Thurman's character in Pulp Fiction. Her
Nice.
name escapes me currently, but that's kind of like the overall vibe and look I wanted. Another inspiration was Camila from Castlevania. She's a heavy inspiration look-wise also.
Yeah. Wow. That is a lot of information. Very insightful information about the character on its own. That's what makes a good story. Just the backstory of a character and the reason why they have their name is a huge factor to having people be very interested in the character and invest some time into reading into the character. So, good job on putting all that into one book.
Thank you. I agree completely. I agree. You need a good foundation to have a good character.
That is absolutely 100% true. What do you consider important to the work of a comic book writer?
That's an interesting question. Important. I think you need to have definitely the time to write, the right environment, and the time and patience to know when is the right time to execute. And what I mean by that is your first draft is definitely not going to be the one you go with. You need to edit it. You need to maybe even put it through other people's eyes, see what they might think, because they might notice things you didn't. But definitely you got to have the patience to keep working on fine-tuning the work and finding the perfect last final draft to send out there. Other than that, I would say try and be unique. Like anyone can sit there and write, but it's another thing to write where you're entertaining and you're not just literally copying something else, you know?
Yeah, yeah, like to copy someone's idea and to even put a spin on it, it doesn't really feel original. You really want to get those influences from other stories, but you don't want to copy and paste and put a different name on it, basically. Um,
Exactly. Nothing is truly unique anymore these days. Like something, even if you don't know it, is going to be similar to something else. You're going to be inspired by things, but it's all about the execution, like how you portray your idea. Like there's so many stories out there that involve Grim Reapers and psychology issues and things like that. But it's all about how you execute it, what the characters go through, and things like that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That kind of leads me to my next question. Was the story completely different when you first started writing for Lost Between Worlds?
When I started writing it, it's been consistently the same, but while brainstorming it, it's gone through a lot of phases. I kind of had a very interesting creative process, maybe not the safest, but while I was, during peak pandemic period out there trying to make money doing, Postmates, Uber Eats, things like that, I would just like be listening to music, random thoughts going through my head, ideas would come in at a red light, like, oh, let me write this in my phone real quick so I don't forget. And I would have things like I knew the idea I wanted to use Grim Reapers and all this, the psychological issues, but at the time I was like, should she be more of a comedic character or like it's a job and she hates it, she doesn't want to do it? Should it be more like a competition thing where all the Grim Reapers are competing over how many souls they can collect? Like it was just mainly what should the main concept be? I had the idea of the Grim Reapers and all this, but what do they do? That's what went through a lot of phases before the actual writing.
So we're definitely going to talk more about Lost Between Worlds in a minute. Right now, I would like to know more about you, Edwin. I want people who are interested in your book to know more about the person who wrote it. So the question is, what's your story? Who is Edwin De Catro?
Who is Edwin? Edwin is just a guy who grew up in New York, now lives in Miami. He's always, always, always loved stories. He always wanted to be a writer. even when he decided to maybe give up writing and go other avenues, the love for stories never stopped. Whether it be watching movies, shows, reading books, playing video games, that's where the name comes from. I'm just always lost between worlds.
Wow.
So the story behind Edwin is just a man who is obsessed with stories, characters, real life, fictional. That's the story behind me, man. I'm just a man who loves everything.
That is passion right there. That is true passion. And I want this to be what you do for the rest of your life, Edwin. I want this to be your
I
full-time
want
job.
to.
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's why people watching right now, I want you all to check out his book. It's available right now on itch.io. The link is in the description. Support Edwin's dream to make this full time.
Thank you. I would love it, man.
Gwyn is one of many Grim Reapers, truly a unique perspective on the actual character. Can you explain a little bit more about that? And will there be other Grim Reapers interacting with each other in the story?
There's gonna definitely be other Grim Reapers interacting. In the first issue, it's mainly more about Gwen and Dulce, the character who suffers with the psychological issues, but there are gonna be more Reapers coming soon. She's different just because the other Reapers, they kind of don't really care so much about humans. They do their job. Gwen, she does her job, but at the same time, she kind of finds humans interesting. She likes their culture. She likes watching them. She's old. She's ancient. So she's seen them grow throughout time, seen them, mature. She's particularly fond of music. So there's things about them that she enjoys watching as she does her jobs. And when she has time off, she might even just watch from afar, enjoying. So I would say that's what makes her different than most Grim Reapers, a little bit more personable.
Yeah, like when I was reading the first volume of Lost Between Worlds, I was starting to notice that Gwen was collecting souls, and there was like a bunch of these rock dudes. There was like a rock band that tragically they died due to a car accident. I hope I'm not spoiling too much. Um,
Right.
so so Gwen basically tries to do her job, but they try. These people are asking like, "Where are we? Like, what's going on?" And she tries to compassionately tell them where they are, and she has like this kind of like sympathy for them, but at the same time she's trying to do her job, and that's what she needs to do.
For the most part, she tries to keep it civil when it comes to work. She's just taking them to the afterlife, crossing them over, doing what she has to do. If they want to talk to her, she'll gladly talk. She's not gonna just be a stone wall. But at the same time, like like I said, she's no nonsense. So there's a little moment, for example, where one of them is about to mention their name, and she's like, I don't need to know your names, bro. I collect so many souls in a day, like there's no point. So like that might seem a little rude to some, but again, like it's work.
So the Kickstarter for Lost Between Worlds had a financial goal to reach $3,000. 85 people backed the project. You were able to fund the project with a total amount of $3,611. How do you feel about all this?
Oh man, that's awesome. I was of course hoping just to meet the goal, but to exceed it was amazing. This is like one advice I've told everyone ever since then. The middle of your campaign, there's always going to be a lull period where there's just no progress. Whatever the reason might be, you just don't really see much progress. I can't remember exactly where my total was around there. I will say though I was a little worried, but no man, we made it, we hit it, and everything was awesome. Those last couple of days, I think by that point we had already hit it, so it was just like, oof, I can breathe easy. And by the end of the campaign, I was like, glad that's over because it's a lot of work running a campaign.
It definitely is a lot of work and stress, especially that you want this project of yours to get funded, so that people can purchase and buy and enjoy the work that you did. It's not going to be easy. You have to make sure that it's going to get funded. But luckily for you, it did, and now it's available for purchase.
Yeah, so I'm glad this is like over a year in the making. The one thing again I would say to anybody, it was my biggest fear, but fear conquered. Just don't be shy to put your work out there. If you really believe in it, if you know you're gonna put the work into trying to make it a thing, just do it. I have no prior work to point to. I'm no famous person or nothing like that, and look at where we're at now. Kickstarter funded, issues out there. Let's shoot it to the moon, hopefully, but it could be done.
And let's say you do become famous in the future, will you still remember who I am? Will you still
Of
come
course,
come by
bro.
and check me out on YouTube?
Yeah, bro, I'll still be watching you. Hell, I'll be doing more interviews with you if you'll take me.
I can't wait. I would love to do a part two to this. Definitely, I would definitely love that. So I'm not sure if you had feedback on this, but are there any fan favorite characters in Lost Between Worlds? And if not, which characters do you think fans will like the most?
No feedback currently yet on their favorite characters. I will say not too many people have read it yet. Uh, Currently the only feedback I've gotten is basically that Gwen looks cool, badass. The band that you mentioned, the Rockers, most people say that the drummer is pretty funny. But yeah, that's so far the feedback I've gotten. I think the most interesting feedback I got one time was it was kind of more of a funny feedback. Someone in the comic ends up kind of like trying to ask Gwen out on a date, and Gwen's like, "Bro, are you
Bruh.
serious?" And yeah, the guy's like, yeah, I can't blame her. I would have too. I thought that was funny.
Oh, that is a very funny comment for sure. So like when people comment like that, you know they're getting really into this. Like they're getting into the characters. That is a good sign that you're writing a good story and you have good characters. So good on that. Good on that part.
Yeah, thanks. I just want people to be immersed. I want people to read and just get lost in it.
So what are your goals when it comes to Lost Between Worlds? Like, do you want the series to be an integral part of your work? Do you have any other projects in mind for the future? And what about merch?
Most people say your first series isn't going to be your magnum opus, and for now, I tend to believe that. And of course, being an amateur writer, rookie, whatever you want to call it, independent, I would say it probably won't be my magnum opus. If it is, awesome. I'm treating it like it's going to be. But I do have some other things lined up for the future. But for now, main focus is going to be on this series because I'm trying to make it not overtly long, but it's going to be 25 issues. So like it's set in stone. That's the length. So until that's done, that's the main focus. As for the future, hey, if it wants to become a show, a movie, a video game, I would love all of that stuff. Future ideas, I do have a few down the line. One recently I came up with, some others I've just had on the back burner for years. But yeah, there's definitely things in the pipeline.
Yeah, and I would love for it to have a Netflix series. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I kind of I definitely wrote it for comic purposes, of course, but I wrote it so that it could easily be adapted for a show, a video game. Of course, the other issues aren't out yet, but it's all up here. It's all written, trust me.
And when you say that you're an amateur writer, I don't believe in that. I'm sorry to disagree, but I think you're a pro in the making. Like you just have to get your foundation. You got to get your fans, and I want more people to witness what you're working on.
We got things planned. There's gonna be a poster that's gonna be with all the physical shipments for the backers. We could release that obviously for purchase too, but definitely gonna plan some shirts, other little collectibles here and there. Maybe even a whole cosplay outfit. Who knows? We'll see.
Very nice. Yeah, I would love to see people dressing up as Gwen in Comic Con.
Yeah, I might cry if I see that.
So, is there any comic book series that has been such a big influence in the writing of Lost Between Worlds?
If we count manga, I gotta say, like I said, Death Note. But I'm a big fan of just indie comics in general, and they can't really be considered maybe indie anymore. But I really like the Ninja Turtles comics, how kind of grungy they are. I just like anything that's really more focused on the actual dialogue and plot. Again, don't get me wrong, I love action, but when I can get lost in the actual plot and have the action be like a nice cherry on top. That's what I love. And I think Ninja Turtles does that really well. I think Batman does that really well. I mean, hell, I'm rocking him right
Hell
now.
yeah, hell
Yeah, he's
yes.
probably my favorite superhero.
I love Batman.
Yeah, that's what I love.
It's always nice to see like the inspiration behind something when it comes to the author of a book. Like what made them compel themselves to make something like this.
I love that. I love knowing that stuff too. Like getting into the mind of not just the characters, but the actual creators themselves, seeing like where the influences and things come from. And then if you don't know them, you look them up yourselves and you're like, oh yeah, I can see that. And yeah, it's learning.
Yeah, like I'm a huge fan of documentaries and behind the scenes, and I hope
Me too.
this video is like kind of like a way for people to get to know you and behind the scenes of on the process of Lost Between Worlds and the inspiration and all that.
Very true.
All right, this is actually one of my personal favorite questions to ask, but name me a few things that makes buyers not want to buy a comic book.
Oh, I can tell you a big one. I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like it's just what I see, and it's just a known thing. Sex sells, and with comic books, it's like you see it does sell, but at the same time, you see so much negative feedback from it, where like you have all these curvaceous women. You're like, those are just ridiculous proportions. It's not realistic. Why do comics always have to have such like curvy women and nude and all this? I know that's probably one thing. Another thing is, I feel like most people want action in their comics, and again, I love action, and there's going to be action in my series. But my first issue, one little drawback is that there might not be so much action as people would like.
Yeah,
So that might be another thing. Let's see. I think a third thing would just be bad art, of course. If you got bad art, why do people want to pick it up?
that is so true. Yeah, like the art really like made me want to read more into it. I love art, so art is something that is always striking to me, whether it's a video game or a comic book. I'm always interested in the art style of anything. So definitely the art style of Lost Between Worlds uh, had me looking really into the book. Like every single page, I just want to see every single color pop out, and it provided. It definitely provided for sure.
Yeah, the visuals have to match the audio or the words, because you can, even in a book, the book might not have visuals, but as you're reading it, you're picturing it in your head. You have to have those good describing words so people can picture it. And you can have the best dialogue, but if you don't have the visuals to match it, where people can see the emotion or at least picture it in their head, then yeah, you just don't have the full picture. You can't fully reach the person, in my opinion.
And when you mentioned about like the character and the sex appeal and all that, it's true that sex sells, but only for long. The character has to have some sort of personality as well.
I agree.
Yeah, like people need to kind of relate because looks and sex appeals and all that can only do so much for viewers when they're interacting and they're checking out the character as well. But then when the character is has a personality of a cardboard, the viewer, the reader will turn right off, and that's it. That's really it.
Yes, I completely agree with that. The way I see it is like, yeah, sure, the sex sells in the sense where like it might bring in the viewers. Whether they stay or not, I guess could depend on the material if it's really good or not. But I don't know. I feel like if it fits the character, sure, it might be one thing. Like for example, Bayonetta, I love those games, and
Oh
the
wow.
sex appeal is definitely there. But it fits her character and the jokes and what they're kind of going for. For my story, at least the character of Gwen, it doesn't really fit her. Like I wanted her to be more of like an elegant, classy kind of sexy. Like I
Yeah.
think she's a beautiful girl and she looks nice, but she doesn't have to be showing like everything, you get me? And again, I'm not opposed to it either. Just make it make sense. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, like boobs shouldn't be everything. Like the character has to have character and personality. So now this question is for the people who are getting into reading comics. What can you tell them to get them interested in Lost Between Worlds? Like why should they purchase your book?
I could tell you that you're gonna get a comic book that I'm not gonna say is like completely unique, but it's not like your other comic books.
Hmm.
It's Gwen could be viewed as a superhero, but she's not your traditional superhero. The story, when you read it, you might be able to guess where it's gonna go, but I'll tell you, it's gonna go places you might not expect. And the way I'm writing it's gonna be written in the time frame of one day. So each issue is gonna be 1 hour, minus the first issue, hence why it's called Hour Zero. So when you read it, you're gonna get a little bit of everything. If you're into manga, there's gonna be things that might remind you of, things you might see in manga. There's going to be interesting characters, a lot of things based on pantheons, just a little bit of everything, in my opinion, for everyone.
Yeah, like I think what sold me on the book, I think this was really unique. But knowing that Gwyn wasn't the only Grim Reaper, and there's actually more in the story, like that wanted me to keep going and to keep reading every single page, and that really interested me a lot. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I really think the characters, in my opinion, is what I'm most proud of besides the story. I feel like, yeah, people will really like the characters once more issues come out and they see what they go through and all of that.
Okay, so we have a few questions left. Edwin, I want to know, are you having fun so far?
Oh, it's a blast. I love talking.
That's awesome. And to the people who are tuning in right now, I hope you're all having fun as well. So that leads me to my next question. What keeps you going in life? Is there someone that motivates you and inspires you?
Well, I do have my fiance. My fiance is a great part of my life. I have a baby coming soon, so that's
Oh,
definitely a big thing now. Um, my family and friends, of course, I feel like they're a major part of my life and an influence. Just honestly, just got to keep going.
oh man, I'm gonna cry right now. like, congratulations on with your fiance and your newborn child coming soon.
Thank you.
Um, I know you're gonna be a good father. Like you sound like a really good and humble person, and I hope that your child will grow to have many wonderful memories with you and your soon to be wife.
Thank you, thank you. I
Am I
hope so
really gonna
too.
cry? Am I really gonna cry right now? No, I'm gonna try and hold it. I'm gonna try and hold it.
Come on, do your best, bro.
Is there any message you would like to say to up and coming writers?
Just don't be shy to put your work out there. Definitely work on getting the best you can from your work, but do not be shy to put it out there. Everyone has self-doubt, but don't let it beat you. You gotta just give it your all and put it out there because you never know.
Yeah, that is wonderful advice. Like, I know some days people have like a tough time, and there's going to be definitely a bumpy road in the future for everyone that goes through life. But if you are persistent and you keep pushing yourself despite what people are telling you, I think you can accomplish enough. I think people who do that are very strong and brave, and you're one of them. So thank you for inspiring me with that answer right there.
Thank you. I used to not be that person, I'll tell you that much. But again, you just gotta get over it. You gotta get over it. And if you're ever gonna make it, or at least become a writer and make a career out of it, there's no way of doing it until you try.
You know what? That's okay because we all have to evolve. You know, we all go through phases in life, and that's totally normal. It's human for us to go through phases. So the more that we learn every day, the better. It really is.
Yeah, like I will say, if I become famous or whatever, cool, awesome. But it's literally just the fact that I had dreams of being a writer, gave up on it because I was like, oh my God, being a writer is so hard. No one reads books these days. It's so hard to come up with a unique idea. Who's even gonna like my ideas? Yada yada.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see how it goes from here, but you just gotta get over it. If you really want it to happen, you gotta try and just there's always gonna be negative feedback, but you gotta make it happen.
So definitely put your work out there. If you have a YouTube video, put it out there. If you want to make a TikTok video, put it out there. If you want to write a book, you want to write a story, you want to make a comic book, put it out there and face the feedback. Don't worry about it. People will have their opinions, but at least they have their opinions and you can keep working on the things that you love. Take those opinions, see what works for you, see what you can implement in your work and just keep going.
So I'm not the first one to say this. I know people hear this all the time, but it's like those famous people, they had to do the tryouts, right? The auditions, athletes, everyone. Everyone has to go through that process. Don't think, just because you're good looking, yeah, I mean, it might help, but like just because you're good looking, hey, here you go, get in this movie. I don't care how good you can act. You gotta put yourself out there and actually do the auditions, tryouts, put your stories out there and all that. They call it a grind for a reason.
You gotta grind. You have to grind, and it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy at first, but eventually it will when you have the foundation, you have the fans rooting you on, supporting you.
It's all about finding a groove. I think over a year in the making for this first issue. I don't think the second issue will take nowhere near as long.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the first that it's going to take some time, but eventually you will get the groove and it'll start to get easier. And you can pump out more comics and there will be more content for people to check out and enjoy.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so my final question. I know Edwin loves to play video games. Edwin and I had a gaming session where we were playing Donkey Kong Country 2 online on the Switch. That was awesome. I really enjoyed our time playing, and we gotta do some more of that. So my question is, what are your top 5 games that have been influential to you, and also in the writing for Lost Between Worlds?
Ooh, influential and not favorite. Okay. The top five anythings are really hard for me. I love reading and watching top five, top 10 videos and stuff, but when I get asked that, I freeze. But okay, I could think of some top five influentials in no particular order. I've got to say almost anything from Suda 51, but in particularly, I love No More Heroes and Killer 7. Big influences. The Mother series, and particularly Mother 3, that's another influence for me.
Very nice.
Let's see, three more influences. I gotta say, I love Final Fantasy games. Big influence for me too. The whole, just the characters going on a journey, things like that, the way they relate. Um, two more. Let's throw in Zelda for the adventuring aspects, the journeys. That when I was a kid, I used to write so much fan fictions that were like modeled in the way Zelda is. One last one. You know what? I gotta throw in Kingdom Hearts 2. Not literally the sequel, but just the series. Because as far as convoluted as the plot is, if you follow it, like if you've played all the games and you actually know what the hell's going on, which is really hard to do, but the plot is convoluted, but it's there. There's so much connections to things that like, wow, that's a really cool lore if you can follow it. I don't know how well it is because it's so convoluted, but me particularly, I do like that kind of stuff.
Going back to Zelda, like, because people love to know, what is your favorite one?
A Link to the Past easily. It's the one I grew up with, so there's nostalgia to it also, but I I don't know, man. There's just something really I love about that game. Like Breath of the Wild captures the adventuring aspects of it, but I think what Breath of the Wild is missing that might have put it as my favorite for me is I want a centralized plot with that adventuring. So Link to the Past has its main dungeons, it has its plot, but you can still open world explore. You can't do every dungeon out of order, but there's some things you can do out of order. Like I feel like that's the perfect mold in a Zelda game for me, where it has open world, it has a central plot, it has somewhat of a linear dungeon. Like, you know what? Give me that, but throw in Mega Man, where like you can do the dungeons out of order in whatever order you want, but give me that central plot and that open world aspect of Breath of the Wild, and I feel like that's the best Zelda game.
Very nice answer. I have not played Link to the Past, but I've played Four Swords Adventure on GameCube, and I need to get on that. I've heard so many good things about Link to the Past that I just need to play it for myself.
Yeah, I know some people, I don't think anyone truly craps on the game, but I know most people say Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild. There are fans of Link to the Past. I just, again, I don't know. It's just the way that game is. I feel like if you modernized that game and made it, like I said, where you could just do the dungeons in whatever order, I think that'd be the perfect mold for Zelda.
All right, everyone, give it up for Edwin. He's the writer of Lost Between Worlds. You can purchase the book right now on itch.io. The link will be in the description. Is there any other websites where people can buy the book from?
Currently, no. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get it on Comixology, but that takes like months to try and finally get your comic accepted. I'm trying to get it on Amazon, but that takes some time too. The physical copy, we'll see where we can get that on for sure. Amazon, but yeah, I'll keep people updated. You can always just follow me on my socials. And one thing I'd like to throw out there for the music lovers, I think it's a cool little unique idea that I've been doing for my characters. Currently, there's only two public, but I've been creating playlists for my main characters. It has songs that they relate to the character somehow, whether it be plot wise, their attitude, their personality. I thought it was a cool way just to like kind of get excited for the characters and kind of get into their mind a little bit, show you a bit of my musical taste and things like that. So you can look that up if you're interested.
Yeah, I would love to get the link for that. I will definitely put that in the description as well. I want people to know the music that inspired the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a Patreon or any other way for people to support and contact you through social media?
We're working on the Patreon right now. I'll give you the update on that as soon as it's ready, probably in the next day. But socials, I really need to remember these. My Instagram, I believe, is lost underscore between world, like WOR1. My Twitter should just be lost between worlds one. And my Facebook should be Lost Between Worlds book series. I think I got that right. But yeah, if you just Google Lost Between Worlds, it should come up.
Yeah, and I see you're very active on Twitter, so I'm definitely gonna link all the social media so people have a way to ask questions, and talk to you and interact with you as well about the book and story.
Yeah, I love interacting with people. Like I said, I love to talk. That's one of the big things about indie comics, I feel, or indie anything in general. Like, you love Batman, you want to maybe even try to express that feelings to the creators, but bro, they have so much fans, so much time. Like, they don't have time rather to like see every single comment. But you can definitely reach out to an indie creator and tell them how much you love their stuff, and they'll gladly be like, "Oh man, that's amazing, thank you."
So definitely comments and reviews for the book will definitely be beneficial for you, so you know what people are thinking about when it comes to Lost Between Worlds.
Oh no, definitely. Like I said, reach out to me to let me know what you think. I'll take positive, negative feedback. I'll take it all.
Yeah, because any feedback is good feedback. Is there any last message you'd like to say before we end this interview?
Just to reaffirm one thing I've said earlier, just you gotta put yourself out there. Just don't be afraid of that. To anyone who takes the time to read my stuff, thank you. I appreciate it. I'd love to hear what you think. And yeah, I'm just here to live my dream and put something out there for everyone else to enjoy.
Definitely. If you want to support Edwin right now, his book is available on itch.io. Lost Between Worlds, get it right now as soon as possible. Support the dream. Let's make him do this full time. And we want his dream to be fulfilled.
Let's make everyone's dream possible.
My name is Spirit. Edwin and I would like to thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day and take care.
Thank you guys. Bye. Awesome, bro. Thank you. That was fun.